Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays! Americans have started to receive COVID-19 vaccines. Vice President Pence took the lead to receive the vaccine, encouraging people to get inoculated. I have no opinion about whether or not we should receive the vaccine, but I think that we should all make an informed decision, and it's up to individual to decide. Just as the US began distributing the vaccine, bad news came out from the UK. It was discovered that the current wave of the outbreak was primarily caused by a variant of the COVID-19 virus that is 70% more contagious than the existing one. 60% of new patients are infected by this new variant. As soon as the UK took the strictest lockdowns, continental Europe blocked traffic with the United Kingdom. New strains have been found in South Africa, Denmark, Holland, Germany, Australia, and I'm sure there are other countries that have discovered the strain as well. It's believed that the new strain has arrived in the US, but we have not seen confirmed cases. Admiral Brett Giroir, who is a member of the White House Coronavirus Task Force, said that he has every reason to believe that the vaccine will be effective against any variant. Will the vaccine protect us against the new strain? That's the question that's on everybody's mind. Scientists may not have an answer yet. We should remember that vaccines are not panaceas. If you look at the most successful vaccine, it was not created in the lab. Smallpox was a devastating disease that had haunted humanity for centuries, and on average, 3 out of every 10 people who got it died. Those who survived were usually left with scars, which could be severe. In the 18th century, an English doctor, Dr. Edward Jenner, discovered that milkmaids who had gotten cowpox did not show symptoms of smallpox after being exposed to the virus. He did various experiments and eventually developed vaccination that eliminated the disease from the world. The last time we saw the disease was in 1975. The last patient was a 3-year-old Indian girl who was the last person who had smallpox. So this vaccine for smallpox was not invented in the lab by science or by scientists. It had existed in nature and was discovered. Now let's take a look at the most unsuccessful vaccine effort. Since we just looked at the most successful one, let's take a look at the most unsuccessful one. In April 1984, US government announced that HIV vaccine would be ready for testing in about 2 years. Now, 36 years later, and after tens of billions of research dollars and lifelong research effort by some of the top scientists, we still don't have a HIV vaccine. These two examples show that science don't always offer a solution. Like the saying goes, man proposes, God disposes. However, those decades of research on HIV have taught scientists an enormous amount about the human immune system. In fact, the effort in HIV vaccine research helped expedite the corona vaccine development. Improved vaccine technologies have been repurposed for the coronavirus vaccine development. And in less than a year, we've seen COVID vaccine in the market. The two vaccines we've seen, one is from Pfizer and the other is from Moderna. Both have over 90% success rate or effective rate. I think the Pfizer one is about 90% and then the Moderna one is 95%. I want to talk about how these vaccines work because it's important to understand it. Vaccine doesn't protect us from the virus. It is designed to trigger our immune system to generate response, and that protects us when the real virus enters our body. And the traditional or the old approach to this is to implant a weakened or a deactivated germ or virus to trigger the immune response. However, some people are concerned with the risk associated with that. because if the germ, if the virus becomes active, then we will actually have the real disease. Now, the two COVID vaccines we've seen use a new technology called messenger RNA vaccine, or mRNA. It gives instructions for our cells to make a piece of the spike protein, which can be found on the surface of the coronavirus, and therefore triggers the immune response. But the spike protein itself is harmless. So what you have is a piece of the protein, not an inactive virus. And this technology has been around for a while and is also used in other treatment. However, not all vaccines are made equal. For example, the most widely received vaccines made in China are those made using the inactive or deactivated germ approach. Technically, it's not dangerous, at least with no infection risk. But it's hard to say that it is totally risk-free when it's made in China. For example, there's a person by the name of Leticia Lee, who is a pro-CCP activist in Hong Kong. She died suddenly a few days after receiving a vaccine produced in mainland China, and she was tested for the virus after her death, and she tested positive. Leticia Lee's case deserves some discussion. If she really died a few days after receiving the vaccine, then it was not an acute reaction or an allergic reaction. It's something else. She says she thought that she had a cold, and it turned out that she actually had the COVID-19 because she tested positive with the CCP virus. Her case is similar to hundreds of Chinese expatriate workers in Uganda, Angola, and Serbia. These workers have been infected, although they had been inoculated with Chinese-made vaccines in China before being dispatched. So there are only two possibilities. One is the vaccine had no preventive effect, and two, the vaccine itself is the source of the infection. The quality of the Chinese-made vaccine should be closely monitored, not just because of the production quality issue, but also data transparency concerns, and also how the clinical trials are handled. China has announced days ago that it plans to vaccinate 50 million people before the Chinese New Year. In fact, in Guangdong province, 180,000 people have already been vaccinated. However, China is still in the process of finishing its clinical trials of the vaccines. It hasn't even published the data of its phase 1 trials. Chinese firm Sinovac Biotech has delayed the announcement of results from late-stage trials of its vaccine to next January. South China Morning Post reported this Wednesday that China's drug makers have arrangements to supply nearly 400 million doses of COVID vaccines to countries in Latin America, the Middle East, and Asia. So one question remains: how could China manage this large export while meeting the demand of vaccination of its 1.4 billion people? Experts say that the exporting Chinese vaccine is a strategy CCP uses to control other countries through medical supplies, but people should take precautions on the Chinese vaccines. While China is exporting its vaccines on a large scale, it is also importing large quantities of foreign vaccines. China's Fuxing Pharmaceutical Company issued a statement on December 16th saying that China plans to purchase no less than 100 million units of German vaccine from a German company, and China paid 250 million euro for the first 50 million units. Many Chinese don't trust Chinese-made vaccines and are in fact waiting for foreign vaccines. According to a survey conducted in Shanghai in November, the majority of Chinese medical professionals wouldn't want to be vaccinated using a Chinese vaccine. And actually, in one hospital alone, there was almost 90% of the medical professionals said that they would refuse to be vaccinated. Also, about a week ago, there was an interesting 1-minute video that went viral inside China by a famous Chinese virologist, Dr. Zhang Wenhong. He basically was discussing who should have the priority in getting the vaccine in China. He said, in my opinion, the party leaders should get the vaccine first, because if we average people get COVID, it's just, we will recover on our own. But if these leaders get COVID, then it would become a national scandal. So he suggests that the party leaders should get the vaccine first. Now, I think to ensure safety, or to let the world know that the Chinese vaccine are safe, and in order to protect the interest of its own citizens and also the interest of the people who China is selling vaccines to, I think these Chinese top Communist Party leaders should use their own vaccine first. So with that said, I wish everyone to have a great holidays, and please like and share our program, and we'll see you next time.